Great. Welcome, everyone, to today's Google Webmaster Central Office Hours Hangouts. My name is John Mueller. I have a bunch of special guests today who are joining live from the Google office in California. So, do you want to introduce yourselves quickly?
Hi there, I'm Jamie Alberica. I'm a technical SEO and CRO. Hi. Technical. Whoa, what?
Someone do this.
I don't blame them. My name's Ashley Berman-Hale. I do technical SEO as well.
Hi, I'm Elliot Melichamp, and I do SEO at Macy's.
All right. Awesome. So, we have a bit of an odd hour today, so I guess that's why we don't have that many people in here, but that's perfectly fine.
More questions for us.
Yeah, more time for you all. Exactly. So I have a bunch of questions that were submitted, and I didn't actually read through most of them. So we will kind of see how far we go, and I'll try to leave a little bit of room towards the end for any live questions that come up. And if there are questions that you all want to ask, then feel free to jump on in too.
All right.
All right, so here's a question from Ben to start with. We have some branch pages for our different repos. If we wanted to rank for these specific services at these branches, how important is it that we have either an internal link to those relevant categories on our website, or that our content on those branch pages mentions those services we want to rank for? Is Google clever enough to that already given the category and branch pages? So I think in general you should definitely have content on your pages that you want to rank for. So that's kind of the first thing that needs to be done in order for these pages to show up. But otherwise, there are lots of different options for that. I don't know, what have you all been seeing in practice? Like, what do people do?
You just make 1,000 pages with the exact location and keyword match. Sorry, I'm not allowed to be sarcastic on these.
Yes. Do that.
Somebody gets a yes on the internet right now. So I think, especially if there are different locations, make a different location page. And what I've seen with some bigger sites that have different branches is to at least talk about top services or top products in that. So not relisting everything, but maybe if there are big products or services that are unique or in demand for that location, add a few so they know that you offer them there.
JSON LD, another great option, using the structured data to mark up individual departments with the relevant contact information.
Oh yeah, of course. Also phone numbers, addresses, opening hours, all of that. Yeah. This one.
May I have one related with this? Somehow at least it's about localization and different branches, country, states, cities.
Let's see. Maybe we can answer.
Okay, so here's the thing. It's a site about a specific dog breed. And we are kind of making lists and promoting breeders from different states and different cities. There are not so many yet. It's a new designer breed. And thing is that for certain states, we have only, I don't know, maybe 5 breeders. And on a city level, on most cities, we don't have any. And on those we have any, it's usually 1 or maybe 2, not more. Now we wanted to make specific pages for each state and each city, not each city, generally each city where we have breeders. Now the options would be 3 options we have here, and I don't know which one is best and would like a suggestion. The first one would be to have a generic text and just the list of breeders, but that would be too much boilerplate and may look like duplicate content. The other one would be to just list the breeders, but that would be thin content and might be penalized for we don't have enough content on those pages. And the third one would be to try to write something about the state or the city, general things or regional things, but that would deviate the content that we are talking about specific breeders and specific breed and not the town generally. So what would you suggest?
I don't know. From my point of view, I try to make sure that these pages actually have good content. So not like random content kind of rewritten from Wikipedia, not just thin content, not just boilerplate content, but really make sure there's something unique on these pages so that they can stand on their own. That's kind of the most difficult option, of course, but that's kind of what we're looking for.
Yeah, but it's not really anything to write about. You can't just really, either you divagate from the main topic too much, talking about state, city, or you stay on topic and you don't have much content. But people are actually searching. We get traffic. We have rankings for those pages, but I'm just worried that they are not high quality. At this moment, it works, but I'm worried that it's not really good practice.
I think for those cases, what I would do is maybe combine a bunch of those pages and put them on one page. So if you have like a bunch of locations in a general area and you don't have more content for those locations, then just make one area page and list those locations there, rather than creating individual pages that have very little content.
For example, instead of states, you have Western US, Eastern US, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, something like that.
I think any time you're like saying, oh, Google might see this as being low quality content, then probably you do see it as low quality content. That's already kind of like saying, well, you should be doing something different.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So next question here is, we use a Google-approved third-party reviews companies to collect our reviews from us. These are hosted on their website. And kind of goes on, like, how can we best showcase these to help our site so that we get maximum benefit from Google trust and SEO? So I guess, first of all, we don't use these for rankings. So you don't need to use these for SEO purposes. And if these reviews are about your business, then maybe highlight them on your homepage, but not on all of the other pages of your site. That's a really common mistake that we sometimes see, that people just copy and paste those same reviews across the whole site. So that's kind of what I would aim for there. It doesn't really matter if they're hosted by a third party or not. And again, it's not something that changes your ranking.
If they're hosted by a third party, though, let's say a widget or a frame that they're using, what would they want to do for any structured data? So I feel like the follow-up question would be, how do I get my gold stars?
The gold stars.
Gold stars.
So we do render the pages. If the widget includes structured data markup in the rendered version, like JavaScript or whatever, then that works.
Make sure they don't mismatch. Some of these providers are using microdata, and your site might have JSON-LD. JSON-LD is preferred. Keep it one language.
Yeah, that definitely makes things easier. Yeah.
I like to mix them up. I like when you go to a restaurant and it has Korean, Chinese, and Japanese food in one place too.
Well, I mean, these algorithms don't care that much about like how you mix things up, but it makes diagnosing issues a lot harder. Especially when you have like the same markup in JSON-LD as you have in microdata, and it's like, which one does Google use? I don't know, it's kind of up in there. If your website sells a service which involves a financial transaction, are you treated negatively in any way if your site is not on HTTPS?
Whoa.
Sure.
I do not feel good about financial transactions on HTTP. So when I'm the boss, yes, you would be treated negatively.
Okay.
I'm not the boss.
You're not the boss.
Not the boss.
That's, yeah. So from search's point of view, we don't look at the type of site when it comes to HTTPS. There is a small bonus for being on HTTPS, but increasingly users care about HTTPS, and if you want to use modern web technologies, you almost need to use HTTPS too.
And you're going to get more aggressive browser alerts too if they're using Chrome, depending on the type of pages and information. So from a user trust perspective, I think they're going to get flagged a little more easily, and it's going to erode trust with your visitors.
Yeah, so especially if there is something like a password field or a credit card field, then I believe the current version of Chrome already shows like not secure in the head of the page. So that's something to kind of keep in mind there. Let's see, what else do we have here? Patience. Yeah. A quick question. Let me.
Yeah, John, one quick question, please.
All right, maybe I'll take a quick question from the audience instead of this.
And regarding the Google businesses, the local businesses, we were facing some trouble in UAE, basically. So we have post boxes here, and the Google postal code is not received for, like, I think I had around 17 clients till now, and I didn't receive any one of them. All right. Any manual thing to override and register the business?
I have no idea.
No idea for that?
I don't know how Google My Business handles this, so I can't really.
Okay. And the second thing about the what do you call May 12th? Okay, there was some huge things going on in the SERPs. I don't know. We were regarding it was some algorithm change, or it was like just.
I don't know. We make changes like almost every day.
It's probably for Mother's Day.
Something big, or.
Oh, maybe it's like you mess up with your stats so that you call your mom.
Yeah.
All right. I'll pass.
I don't know.
I just wanted to let you know regarding the maps, you can always call if you have AdWords, call Google support, press 3, and you'll be directed to Google Maps and just ask them what's happening with your clients. How's that?
Oh, cool. We should have more often in this hangout group.
Press 3.
Press 3. Okay.
Okay.
Good. I have no idea about like Google Maps. I'm kind of happy that I don't have to answer all of those questions because there's enough web search questions to go around. So, okay. So it's like a quick question, which is a big wall of text, but I think I know what you're kind of hinting at there. In a recent WordPress update, it adds rel equals no opener, no refer to all links. So is that a problem? Basically, that's no problem for us. From the search side, that's something that's essentially markup on a page that we ignore. So as long as it's not a rel no follow, then we pass all of our signals normally. If it has other rel attributes attached to it, that's totally up to you. That's I've seen some people that try to take this out, some people that don't care. I don't know why WordPress made this change, but I'm sure they have really good reasons for that. They don't make changes just right. But at least from a search side, you don't need to do it.
How does Google treat onClick these days?
OnClick. So if you add like an OnClick handler to something, we try to recognize that, but we can't guarantee that. So especially if you have something like a div and you add like an OnClick event to it somehow, and your OnClick function does some fancy JavaScript and then navigates somewhere else, then we can only go so far and kind of guess.
Your block of JavaScript, lots
Yeah.
of for things to go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what to click on, essentially. And we don't know which of your JavaScript you can execute to see if it does any kind of redirects. A really weird scenario that we sometimes see that I know the rendering team was kind of battling with recently is all of the infinite scroll pages, where if you scroll down, it changes the URL on top.
Yeah.
Where we kind of taught Googlebot to scroll down so that it actually does the lazy loading of images. And of course, if Googlebot starts scrolling down, then suddenly the URL changes, and then Googlebot thinks, oh, it's a redirect. Which is not really the way it's supposed to be. So that's something where we kind of have to hold ourselves back a little bit and not click on everything, not do all actions to see what happens. So if you have a JavaScript-based site, I just make sure that your DOM has the normal A elements in there with normal href links.
Could you use a fetch and render to go ahead and see what they look like?
You can see what it looks like, but you can't see the code. So they're working on something to make it possible to see the rendered code, but you can look at it in the browser as well and look at the rendered code there. What could cause good ranking in mobile but not so good ranking in desktop? I don't know. So what might be happening is that a lot of your competitors have bad mobile sites, and we don't show them so highly. So your site kind of makes it a bit higher. But I'm not aware of anything specific where you would be kind of demoted on desktop, but not on.
What if they're doing something with their configuration, depending on how their mobile's set up? If they're detecting user agents wrong or serving content wrong, so maybe the cloud doesn't see the desktop as much anymore. Would that be something?
I don't know. It's hard to say without looking at the URL. So I suspect like these kind of technical issues are things that you would notice fairly quickly if you look at the site. Loading it on desktop, loading it on mobile to see kind of what's happening. But otherwise, I'm not really sure what that would be. Quality site plus links versus relevant site plus link. Which one is more powerful? I don't think there's like one answer to that. Quality versus relevant. We try to show both in the search results. So we think both sides are kind of valuable. And I don't think it's worthwhile to kind of differentiate between like quality and relevant too much. Okay. Another domain. How does Google identify that it's the same company blog and not some random other website? For the most part, we don't understand that they're actually the same company, but we do pick up a lot of similar signals when we look at two sites that are kind of about the same thing. So that could be a company blog. It could be different parts of the same company. Usually there's lots of information there about which company is which.
Would the markup, so the entity markup on the company, help if they're on both sites? Would that be taken into consideration?
Same as.
Like, let's get you to say, I don't know, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, or like whether we see it as one company or not, because we'll just try to rank it. It's not that, oh, this is from this official company source, therefore we'll rank it higher. It's more like, oh, there's good content here, and it's linked from these other sites, and we have all of these other signals, and it's something we should show in the search results.
Is the best practice still, hey, go ahead and put this on your primary domain rather than a subdomain or a separate domain?
You can, so from our side, you could do it either way. I think putting it on the same domain makes it a little bit easier because we can kind of like put it all together. Subdomain would also work. Sometimes there are technical reasons why you can't do it like as a subdomain or on the same domain, those kind of things. But if you can put it on the same domain, I think that's usually the cleanest option. Oh man, what's happening on Twitter? It's like a whole other world that I'm missing out on.
FOMO, John has it.
Jeez.
She's the most popular one of us.
Okay. I have a question regarding interstitial penalty. Since we've removed our pop-up on mobile, we've seen a higher bounce rate, and that makes us question the move. Our email sign-up pop-up has great incentive that people take advantage of, so even though it's intrusive, it does end up being well received.
It's obviously not going to be a bounce rate because you had to click out of the interstitial, which makes it not a bounce. There was a click.
Yeah, I also kind of suspect that it's kind of something
A
like
GA
that.
issue.
So it's not that they're engaging with your site, it's that they're engaging with the X button and like the back button probably. Which probably isn't to your best. But one thing you could do is turn it into something like a banner instead of a pop-up, so that it's on the page. And if it's really something that people love and they want to fill it out and like give you the email address, then they can still do that.
Or what about just delaying it for a few seconds? So it's less about the interstitial. They're worried about the penalty. I know it's less friendly to users, but
We would still pick that up.
even if there's like a 5 or 10 second delay.
I
The
need,
banners are nicer.
Yeah, banners are good.
May I have one more related interstitial banners?
All right, short one.
Okay, we have one, I don't know what to call it, interstitial pop-up banner. It just shows on the top of a page. It's 19 pixels tall, wall page wide. It stays there even if you scroll. You can click on X to make it disappear. It's only on desktop side. And it has principally that, a sign up form, news, promotions, things like that. Would that count as an interstitial and get a penalty or not? As I said, it is site-wide long and it is 19 pixels tall. So it usually takes a small part of a screen, but it is there till you click on the X.
I mean, if it's more like a banner, then that's fine.
So that's fine. It's no risk for penalty or something. Okay.
The issue
Okay,
is
thank you.
blocking the primary content of the page, right? So as long as it's less intrusive, then okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sounds like you're on the right track. All right, maybe I'll just switch over to questions from you all here. Like what has been on?
Yeah.
Quiet.
What's happening over there?
We're having a party. We've been drinking since noon. I'm just kidding.
It was 8 a.m.
So Jamie and I are here for Google I/O and the Women Tech Makers dinner.
Oh, right. It's Wednesday. Yeah. It's the travel from Canada to California is long for me, you know? So.
Yeah. But I'm spreading the word. If there are any ladies out there for tech, join Women Tech Makers because they do great events at these bigger conferences. That's like what?
And once a year, free dinner.
Free dinner.
Wow.
Okay.
Elliot, what are you doing here? Elliot lives here.
Wanted to come in.
Cool. You had a bunch of questions.
I had one.
All right. Go for it.
So I guess just mobile first, right? It's kind of heard that the mobile, like someone has a separate mobile site. Like what should that canonical tag look like? Should it be self-referencing or should it still kind of point to the desktop site?
That's a good question. So our goal with the mobile first index is as much as possible to make it so that webmasters don't have to make changes. So if we can figure out a way to kind of do this switch, which we think is the right thing to do, given that most people are on mobile nowadays, without like webmasters having to make changes, having to switch their canonicals, all of that, then that's kind of our ideal situation. There's some things where we can't do that. For example, if there's no content. So I saw a handful of sites today from engineers where they were saying, well, the desktop page has content in like 5 different languages, but the mobile page is only in English. And then it's like, well, that sucks for you. But we have to figure out how to tell the webmaster about this, because that's something they probably don't realize because we're ranking them based on the desktop pages. And with regards to canonical, our goal there is to just say, well, keep the canonical set up the way you have it now, which means on separate mobile URLs we point at the desktop URLs. We'll still pick the mobile URL to actually index, but we kind of have this connection between the desktop.
Question for you guys.
Age group.
Age gates. So
Okay.
we know
We have lots of beer sites.
Yes.
From the question about age gates.
all of the beer.
And pots.
Well, we don't want the way youngins to go ahead and get into these sites that are really intended for adults over the age of 21. And it's very common when you click, no, I'm under this age, to go ahead and be sent to another page. How does Google view if you were to redirect a user from that underage to an anti-drinking advocacy, anti-underage drinking page?
PBS.
Yeah, if you took them to PBS and a really
Anti-drink show.
heartwarming Mr. Rogers episode instead, would that be viewed as
I think like where you send them doesn't really matter. The tricky part for us is rendering the pages, because you're essentially providing us with this interstitial instead of the actual content when we render the page. And I don't have any perfect answer for So we've looked at that with the rendering team, and they've looked into different options that we could recommend, like maybe marking up the yes button or whatever is needed to actually make the interstitial go away, so that we can kind of navigate through that. Because I think Googlebot is like over 18, so that shouldn't be allowed. I don't
It's
know.
doing so many terrible things already.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Oh, man, poor Googlebot. But I don't really have any perfect answer for that yet. So we're trying to work to just like make the existing setups work. Some sites use normal interstitials with JavaScript, and we can just pick up the content behind that. That's no problem. Some sites have robotic JavaScript. That works for us too. We don't want to recommend using robotic JavaScript because then it means we don't see what actually the user is.
Which it would look like cloaking potentially.
We
Just a
don't
little.
know. I mean, we don't know. That's
see rankings and index substantially.
That's kind of the tricky part there. What you should avoid is redirecting to some shared URL and then redirecting back to the content. So that's something that we sometimes see, because then we see the redirect to this shared URL, and maybe that shared URL is blocked by robots or just the same boilerplate for every page of the website. And then we don't know like what's up with this thing. Whereas if we see the interstitial on the page on top of the normal content, we can kind of like, oh, this is an interstitial, we can ignore it. It's there for legal reasons. We can kind of see behind it.
John,
Yes.
just regarding like speed, you know, so if because you were talking about the whole mobile stuff, so if the site, according to Pingdom, like I'm just watching the specific site at about 7.3 seconds load time, and then it goes back to 5.7, 5.7. So for the past 2 weeks, it's been 5.7, 5.7, and lost about 25% of its traffic. And according, I don't know, there's just a couple blogs out there that I saw that also claim that it can go as 20%. But I mean, on my end, I'm showing like a 25% loss in traffic, which is huge. I was from what I'm thinking, maybe the load balancer. I don't know. There's so many things to it, but I've been watching it for 2 weeks, and it's kind of crazy. So is that a silent penalty?
No, I mean, shouldn't be. So when you use speed with regards to figuring out which sites are like really, really slow and which sites are kind of normal. So if it's kind of in the normal range, we don't care. So the fluctuations that you're seeing, where it's like a couple seconds more, a couple seconds faster, that wouldn't be something that we would do. It would be more a matter of like, oh, this page takes, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes to actually load, then like, I don't know if we should be showing this to you.
So 5 to 7 seconds doesn't, it's okay?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a strict cutoff time where we'd say this is a problem, but
if the user is on here, if the user is on here, he's pretty annoyed after 6, 7 seconds, he's gonna leave, and obviously it's not good for you guys, right?
Well, things are slow on mobile, unfortunately.
Well,
So
it's been
a couple of years ago at Google I/O, we told everyone to make their mobile sites load within 1 second.
That was ambitious.
No one listened.
I think a lot of people listened. So the guy who announced this is now my manager, so that means we do care about speed. So you'll probably hear more from us about speed anyway. But it was a really ambitious goal, and I think it was important for us to kind of bring that out there because it did encourage people to think about speed a bit more. So that's something where they might not make it 1 second, but if you can get it down to like 2 or 3 seconds, you're already way ahead of the people who do it.
So next year we'll be talking about milliseconds and seconds and so on.
Yeah, I mean it's hard. It's not trivial to make a site load in less than 1 second on a mobile device.
Because they had about 208 requests, and it was from what I'm seeing now, they kind of got it down to about 80 requests. So I guess it's going down.
That's good. Yeah. So the bigger effect that you would probably see there is just with regards to conversions. People on the site, staying on the site, clicking into more parts of the site, all of that. That's something that probably you care about more, because like getting people from search to visit the site is one thing, but getting them to actually buy something is probably worth more than just like a view in the statistics.
Okay, thanks.
It'd be cool to do an experiment where you measured, so if you are using Kingdom and you like it, or webpagetest.org, and run a bunch of sites and see how that correlates to the PageSpeed insights to get a gauge for more, it's correlative, right? Not positive, but get a gauge for the seconds that are measured on those tests, because they measure actual time, to scoring under those PageSpeed insights to sort of see where the benchmarks are today.
And the thing is, Page Insights, I mean, they're 99 out of 100. 99.
Pretty good.
So-
What did you ask for?
No, it's just
You can still improve.
I'm thinking more. It's a non-stop of a DDoS attack as well for a long time.
I think it's also important to kind of like not look at just the numbers when it comes to page speed insights, but actually kind of think about what people are actually seeing.
No, of course.
Trying to also kind of think of where you should prioritize. So you have limited developer resources. Should they be working on a redesign with like a new technology that's significantly faster across the board, or should they be tweaking like their HTML and CSS to like 10 milliseconds more? And somewhere in between there, finding the right balance is sometimes.
I did hear that John will hand deliver, I can't remember if it was chocolate or trophy, if you do get 100 out of 100 for both desktop and mobile. So you should keep pushing for it.
And deliver. Okay.
By Joe.
don't know. I don't know.
You by Joe.
I will start showcasing the 100 of 100 sites.
So actually, I don't know how far we are on this, but one of our plans is to get rid of those numbers in PageSpeed Insights.
No, don't do that.
Too much.
The numbers are good, but I saw there was a UI change over the weekend that actually gave some wording to the numbers. So I saw poor, or there was like a could be optimized, so it looks like you're gradually that way.
Yeah, I don't know what the status of that is.
Please
But,
don't get rid of that. Please don't get rid of that.
I mean, it's something where we see a lot of people focusing too much on just those numbers rather than.
No, I just think it's more of a John. I just think it gives the developer more of a. He just really gets a high from that, and it's more of a developer thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of gamification. People love to get 100 out of 100 if they can. But it's also important from our side that we don't kind of mislead you with like this laundry list of things to do, when actually you could be making your site a little bit better and getting a lot more conversions because you actually have something useful on your site.
Self-confidence comes from within.
Yeah.
By the way, you guys are frozen on my end.
Uh-oh.
I hope we made a good face.
I'm definitely different.
John, I have a question for you.
Okay.
John, I have a question for you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So we have a bunch of partners that syndicate our content, and some of them are complaining about actually adding the nofollow to the links that live within our articles. My questions for you are, the nofollow tags in the links, will the canonical tag actually work the same as the nofollow if they can't place the nofollow in those links? Does that make sense?
So I guess
So
the canonical,
can we substitute the canonical tag for the nofollow?
how do you mean canonical with a nofollow?
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit. So
How do you mean?
can we place the canonical tag in the original article, and then in place of the nofollow tags that live within each one of the links that point back to our site?
Yeah, so with the canonical, if we follow the canonical, we would focus on the main version of that article. So kind of the no follow or not links within that article would kind of be ignored. But I still think it's a best practice that if you have set up no follow links within the article, if it's like a paid placement, an ad, or anything like that, then those no follows in there is the right thing to do.
And is it okay to follow the link back to the domain or the original article if they can't put the canonical within the head code?
That sometimes helps us too, yeah. And so the rel canonical is definitely the ideal situation where we can fold everything together with the canonical. But a link back to the original article also kind of helps us.
Okay, thank you.
John, one small question.
Sure, go for it.
Yeah. I own a blog, so in a blog, like if I want to just target distinct categories, for example, more which we focus on is marketing, all right? So if we want to focus on something like travel or something on the same domain, can we do that? I own a blog, so in a blog, like if I want to just target distinct categories, for example, more, all right? So if you want,
Whoops. Echo.
Can you hear me?
So can you repeat that briefly? Sorry.
So for my blog, what I was planning, can we just target distinct categories which are not related? For example, marketing, then travel, or something like that.
Sure.
Will there be any issue in the dilution of the content or something like that? Because one of my author here, he loves to write about the travel or something.
No. I know this guy, Matt Cutts. He writes about all kinds of stuff.
Okay. Cheers.
You can do that. You can do that.
Okay.
He's
Cheers.
right there behind you, by the way. He's right there behind you.
Yeah, I'll just let him know. It's fine. I'll let him know I got it covered. I'm a good blogger. Question, can you clarify if AMP is going to be supported in the mobile first index?
AMP supported in the mobile first index. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like, what do you mean with supported? Maybe you should clarify that.
Gary made a comment on Twitter a few weeks ago, and I hate to be the one that calls out that kind of stuff, but I'm going to do it.
He's on
That-
vacation.
He is on vacation. We know where to find him, though, right? So I know that AMP pages, create some differences in different versioning, and he had mentioned that they weren't quite compatible with the mobile first index yet, and that was extrapolated to think that maybe that's part of why the mobile first index isn't rolling out. Will everything be kosher with AMP and the mobile first index? Is that what we foresee for planning? Okay, follow-up question.
So I guess let me just like one small clarification. So I think like if you have separate AMP pages and you have mobile pages, that setup is fine. You can also have your AMP pages as the mobile page. That's something that's kind of trickier to set up if you have a separate desktop page and the AMP as the mobile page. You can also do that, kind of like separate mobile URLs, like anything else. And you can just have an AMP version as the canonical page, which we would use for both desktop and mobile. For the so ampproject.org is for example, and that should just work. So the trickier part, I think, is on AMP itself. There's some limitations with regards to what you can actually do there. So if you have this big pile of structured data that you want to put on the page, then you need to watch out to make sure that it's like from the size point of view, not too much, that the AMP page is still. So that's kind of the trickier part to watch out for. But if you have a normal setup with like a desktop page, a mobile page, and an AMP page.
So repeat that back, slim down your structured data for AMP.
If you want to only have an AMP page instead of desktop and mobile, then you need to make sure that the AMP page remains valid.
But you can piecemeal AMP components and borrow it for your own site because it's just really thin code,
sure.
right? So even if you're not AMP valid, you can still benefit from the infrastructure
sure.
and everything should be fine.
Yeah.
But like adding it like AMP is, I mean, you have to. You guys froze. Sorry. Like if I was gonna add it to 100,000 pages, it's not that easy to do that on an HTML site. Like a site, for instance, as an example, like IKEA. It's HTML. You can't just go and like go nuts. Like it's not easy, right?
Well, just because it's not easy doesn't mean you can't do it.
Well, because you have like 500,000 pages. That's
It's good to do things that aren't easy, but it's true. Like for some types of sites, it's harder to move everything to AMP. And that's something that the AMP team is definitely working on. I don't know what they're planning for Google I/O, but they do have a big session about AMP, so I'm sure they'll have some cool stuff to kind of present it.
And they have something on progressive web apps with AMP, and Paul had promised that on stage he would say WAMP. So I'm waiting.
Sure he'll do that. Yeah.
I'm waiting for that one as well. I'm going to hold them to it. But with progressive web apps and AMP, what are the best ways that SEOs are exploring with this technology when we're working with companies that are doing it? How can they test for the standard SEO stuff? Because the technology is moving a little bit faster than our industry. We want to make sure stuff is crawled and indexed properly. What do you recommend?
Having good SEOs. So that's kind of No, I think that's actually really important. So especially with the newer technologies, everything around progressive web apps, single page apps, any kind of the modern JavaScript frameworks that are out there, that's something where if you only have developers who are good at these technologies, that doesn't necessarily mean that these pages will work really well. So sometimes we see really fancy sites that are really nice to use, they're fast, they're kind of interactive, but when we look at them, we see, oh, they all use the same URL, or they don't link between the different pages, or they link in a way that you can't actually pick up as things. And these are all things that SEOs have practiced with. They know about title tags, they know about descriptions, and those are things that are really important for search. So it's like you shouldn't just focus on technology, you shouldn't just focus on SEO, but you really need to kind of make sure that both sides are working together. And with PWAs and with all of these modern frameworks, single page apps, you need to understand that Googlebot is rendering these pages and kind of trying to figure out how you can diagnose that on your side.
Is Angular still terrifying in Google's cache? The first time I saw it, it was just like a placeholder.
So
Caches.
that's a different question. So the Google cache is just the raw HTML version. So not the rendered. So if you look at the cache of a single page app, you'll just see this HTML page.
Don't panic. It's supposed to be that way.
Yeah, so you can just search for the content directly and you should be able to find it.
I know we can get the DOM and get a lot of good details, but I do sort of yearn for the original days of just viewing the source and stealing code from people and see how they made text. That was fun. That was like good community love, and now Google's making it harder. Just kidding. I had to throw that in there.
Yeah.
I love the new technology too.
At least you don't have to program everything with all strings.
Can I ask a related question?
Really old technology.
Bring my GeoCities back. Was that David?
Related question on that. Is there any chance that we'll ever get reporting in Search Console about how frequently Google is trying to render the full DOM across pages on our site?
Probably not, because we're trying to actually render every page. So it used to be like maybe a year or so ago we would render like most pages, but nowadays we try to render pretty much every page that we actually put out. So it wouldn't make sense to highlight that in Search Console because we should be able to render everything. I assume we'll get some more tools in Search Console with regards to rendering content and understanding how we keep that up. But I don't know what specific content. Also, I set up a kind of a working group for JavaScript sites, for modern sites, where if you're a developer or SEO who are interested in that, we're going there. It's going to be kind of the place where we have those kind of discussions around how those modern sites work well in search, or how they don't work well. So that's kind of useful, I think, for both sides. For us to kind of see where people are having problems, but also for you all to think about that.
So tomorrow, the whole I/O, they'll maybe releasing. They're going to say when Google first index is going to be live tomorrow or no?
I can't pre-announce that.
Okay, I understand.
But I don't think they will.
So, sorry, just closing out the whole DOM thing. That means for every crawl, we can assume every URL that you're requesting, you are also rendering at some point.
Yes.
So in that case, is it safe to assume whatever our crawl budget is, whatever the crawl pattern is in our particular site, is in part informed by your experience rendering the pages?
Yes. So when we do that, we don't fetch all resources all the time when we render a page, because I think that would kill your server probably. So we try to cache a lot of the CSS and JavaScript on those pages, a lot of the images on those pages, so that we don't have to kind of constantly refresh those when we crawl through your website. So if you look at your server logs, you probably won't see us crawling your JavaScript page as often as we crawl every other.
So if I have an intermittent issue with like a tracking tag, making it so the load event doesn't happen for like 2 minutes or something crazy like that, how often will you need to see that before you decide I'm gonna pull back on trying to request this URL?
I don't know. I don't have any specific numbers on that. So one thing kind of to mention there is, if you're making significant changes in your JavaScript, then I would consider adding some kind of versioning to the URL, so that we do understand it's a new JavaScript file and we can drop the old cache and pick up a new one. That's something that I believe most of the newer frameworks do automatically. So that kind of helps it.
Rock on. Thanks.
John, one small question.
All right.
Yeah. For the AMP, basically, what I understand is it's coming from the cache, all right? So, like, if it's like an AMP page is going to a 404, okay, how long will it take for a webmaster to fix it without losing a ranking? Because recently we were having some changes with the SSL, okay? So I think most of the AMP pages were not found. So the rankings were there for some hours and then it vanished, okay? So approximately how much time do we get to fix these all things?
So if it's a matter of the AMP page being 404, then we would probably just drop the connection between AMP and the page. So we would just show the normal page results. If the normal page is also 404, then that depends a bit on different factors. So it's not something where we have like a strict timeline and say, oh, you made a 404, therefore, I don't know, 1 day or 2 days. It kind of depends on the URL. It depends on the crawling, all of that.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. So what am I missing on Twitter?
I would have one more, if possible, John.
Could I ask a question after that?
Sure.
It's a site, another site, and they have pretty good rankings for all their pages, but after looking on them, I personally think they are rather thin, rather short, something like 200, 300 words articles. So I suggested them merging some of those pages, like 2 pages in one, something like you said earlier in the other case, because while they rank at the moment and they have no penalty, I don't think the quality is high enough and it may happen something bad in the future. Now the problem is that they rank for each pages. What I suggested is to try to keep one of the pages, drop the other, the redirect 3100, redirect the old one to the one of the old one to the keeping old one, and just match the articles, the content. Now another option somebody else came with was to create a whole new page and redirect 301, redirect both old pages to the new one so it can have a new URL. So something like if one page has 6 reasons for doing something and the other has 4 questions about doing something, it can be, the new URL can be 10 things about. So what do you think is best, to drop both pages and redirect to a new URL, or just keep one of them as I suggested?
I think both work. Sometimes one is easier than the other, but both are the kind of reasonable strategies. I think anytime you're making this kind of a change, especially across bigger parts of the site, you will see some fluctuations. So that's something where you shouldn't kind of freak out if, like, after a week, suddenly your site ranks very differently, because it will just take a bit of time to settle down.
Yeah, but it's if you make the whole new URL thing, you're not on long term. You're not losing the metrics for the 2 pages, and it's no problem if you 301 2 pages to a new URL, isn't it?
That's perfect.
I know it's not okay to 301 10 pages to one URL, but 2 pages is not no problem, no?
I don't know where we would draw the line. Like when it starts looking like a software.
But not at 2.
But 2 is safe.
Okay, thank you a lot.
I'm wondering about if we're using a reviews widget on our pages, if we put a canonical to a specific page that is actually the reviews page, is that okay? Can we have the reviews in multiple places as long as we're kind of saying the original content sits on one page?
If you put the rel canonical on those pages, we'll probably just index the canonical page. So that probably isn't what you're looking for. But what you could do is things like this, if you have reviews for like the company, have the widget mark them up on one page and just make them visible on the other pages without having structured markup behind. So that's an option there. You could like go really low tech and just take a screenshot of the widget output and just copy paste that as an image if you wanted to.
Okay, because I was concerned that it would look like duplicate content across the pages if we had the same reviews in 2 places.
That's no problem. So duplicate content there is not something I worry about. It's really a matter of if you have the same structured data markup across these pages where you're essentially marking up the company instead of the individual products, then that would look kind of small.
And in terms of the markup, if they're reviews for a website, should that be like classified as an organization, like in the structured data markup, or what if it's a company that is not selling a product?
So the review markup should be reflecting the primary content of the page. So it shouldn't be like you're reviewing the blog post or you're reviewing the website. It should be like, what is this website about? What is this blog post about? So that's kind of what you should be reflecting there. So it shouldn't be like review markup for the website itself, unless you're like a website that is reviewing other websites, in which case, obviously, you're reviewing.
To clarify, we want to avoid going ahead and then putting product reviews for every product within the e-commerce category on the category page itself.
Exactly. Yeah. It should be either like one.
Can I transition into that question with widgets? If, for instance, suppose I made a widget called abc1.com, just that's what it's called, and then I go ahead and I develop this little tool. Now everybody is going nuts. They're placing it on their website, and I've asked them as well, which I'm not supposed to, go ahead and put it on your website, blah, blah, blah. I know it does me good. But now it says, you know, powered by abc1.com, and those are all my links. Those are all my links in my portfolio. Those are the only links I have. That's
sounds like widgets, links, link building. I don't know. So,
but no. What if like you have now 12 million of those? Is that
12?
Is that against
number?
I'm serious though. Is that against your guidelines or not?
So
widget links.
Yeah, I would like read up on the help center we have with regards to like.
Okay, I'll have to send you a serious email and so you can see what I'm talking about and really understand, because it's very upsetting, and it's just when you have that amount and with an anchor text.
We recommend that people put no follow on links like that.
I know, John. I know. It's just when I see that kind of stuff, I go nuts.
I mean, for a large part, what happens is we notice those things too, especially the things that are larger scale, and we just think the no follow there ourselves. So essentially, we crawl these sites, we look, see these links, and we say, oh, this is like all the same widget. We will just no follow all of those links.
You notice you mean automatically, right? Algorithmically.
You're going to follow those.
We understand that webmasters don't really know what they're actually trying to do there, and we will just say, okay, we think this is like widget link building, and we will just ignore it. So just because they have it on those pages and just because they're ranking doesn't mean that they're ranking because of those.
Did you guys think in 1996 that the word widget would just like, keep carrying on for 20 years?
I don't know.
John, but what is done algorithmically, not manually, right?
We do it on both ends. So whatever we think is necessary to make sure that kind of the quality and the relevance of the search results.
And if done manually, would it be a penalty or just not counting them?
Normally, it would be a manual action. So we would notify the websites about that. But that still doesn't mean that we would remove that site from search or that we would demote it for this. We would maybe just say, well, we see these links, we're ignoring them.
Yeah, but then you have these other penalties, and then, but then you have these other penalties that the site might just go for something else that's maybe related to that, because then you have the separate widget penalty as well that you've introduced, and it's on your blog, right? I mean, you wrote about it.
So many widgets, yeah. So, I mean, it really depends on what the issues are.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. So I think we're out of time. So we close out.
Can I ask a quick question?
All right. Really quick.
All right. So we have a Google Webmaster Tools API connection where we have 123 mutual agency customers using them. We're consistently seeing lower numbers for the query data view through the API than what's provided in the Webmaster Tools UI. And I've seen a few comments online that other people are experiencing this. I was wondering if it's a known thing, if there's something we're doing wrong.
So I think there are two aspects there. One it could be a problem, so it'd be useful to kind of have more information about that. But for the most part, what the big difference is that in the Search Console, in the UI, on top we show the number for all of the queries, all of the URLs, and in the table below we aggregate essentially the queries that are not filtered. And in the API, we only show those individual. So if you add up those entries there, you would get a different number than the sum on top, because some of these queries are actually filtered. So that's what you're seeing there, especially if you go and kind of drill down to multiple parameters and try to like really pick out individual queries, then that's something that would be more and more likely to be filtered.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so let me wrap up here. Thank you all for joining. Thanks for coming by live. Great having visitors. Thanks for all of the questions that were submitted. We didn't go through too many of them, but you can copy and paste them to the next hangouts and we'll try to run through those, or maybe put them in the help form because we have some PCs to kind of help out and answer some of these questions, because a lot of this is something that people have seen before, where it's useful also to get input from peers rather than just Google's official ones.
Thank you for hosting us.
Yeah, thanks for joining at crazy times, Bogman.
Yes, John. Yes.
All right, bye everyone.
Thanks, everyone.